Hey guys, as promised, we wanted to do part 2 of our 2-part series on cold water cranking. And so right now, it's Friday evening, we're in the garage. We want to just talk first about rods, reels, and line that we have found to be highly successful. I will tell you the setups I'm about to show you, the equipment setup is an integral part to cold water cranking. And I will tell you this February, March, we've caught fish cranking in water as cold as 42, 43 degrees. A lot of people think that's an A-rig only and a stick bait only time frame, or maybe swimming a grub, that sort of thing. I'm telling you, if you get the right conditions with the right water color, you run up some rivers, up the creeks, off the main lake to some degree, you can find fish that'll eat a crankbait. And some of my best fish and some of my best fishing over the last 3 or 4 years in the early spring has come on a crankbait, and I am absolutely addicted to it. So let me go over my rods, reels, and line selection of what I have found to be extremely important in the system. First off, all my reels are Lew's speed spool reels. I go with a 6.8 to 1 gear ratio. I don't go to the 5.3 like some guys do, because I feel like if a fish comes up behind my bait, sucks it in, and is swimming with it, I have a hard time catching up. If I go too fast, 7 to 1, 7.5 to 1, and faster, then I can't seem to get slowed down enough. I wear out because the crankbait's moving faster, it pulls on your arms. The 6.8 to 1 is a good medium, middle of the road, medium ratio. I can slow it down. As I pull into a fish, I can speed them up. So let's talk then about rods. I've been throwing 2 different rods personally. The first one is this Fitzgerald Brian Thrift series. It is a 7.4. It's a medium heavy, but it has a ton of flex. It's parabolic, and I don't want to bend it too much, but it really loads well. That loading is amazing for casting. I get good distance because the rod loads on the back cast, but it also loads on a fish. So as I'm reeling in, I can watch that lure wiggling, I can feel that lure vibrating, excuse me, and then I can see that rod start to load up, or I feel that rod start to load up, and I can pull into those fish. Because the cold water fish, you do not want to crank them, or yank them, you do not want to set the hook. You pull into them and you just speed that reel up a little bit. Line, definitely fluorocarbon, especially in the cold water. It gets me a little more depth, and it's just super sensitive. When you put fluorocarbon on this rod with one of these lures that we'll get into, you can feel the wiggle, you can feel the fish come up behind it, you can feel the kind of rocks, you can feel the big rocks, and you can slow that thing down and just crawl it or pull it through them. You can feel a fish come up and knock slack in your line and know to pause and then pull into the fish. Amazing rods. I get good distance, I get good sensitivity, and I get good hookups. The other rod that I have been using is another Fitzgerald. It's a Versa series. It's a 7-foot medium heavy moderate action. I also use this as a jerkbait rod. I use it as a square bill rod. I've even thrown small swim baits on it, but with a little bit of 12-pound fluorocarbon, 6.8 to 1 reel again, it works really well for some cold water cranking as well. My son Parker, my youngest, uses a Lew's cranking stick, another good rod, and my oldest son is using a 7'4" Versa series medium moderate cranking rod. But those are our rod, reel, and line setups. 6.8 to 1 Lew's, good cranking rod, fluorocarbon line. piece on the equipment is the lures. I am addicted to the crawdad crankbaits. Love the crawdad crankbaits. Things that you're going to need, in my opinion, to be highly successful with this. One, you got to have new hooks. You got to have good treble hooks, a variety of sizes, sixes, fives, fours. One thing I will tell you, in my opinion, on trebles, I use the wide gap or the triple grip in the summertime. I don't use them in the wintertime. I miss and lose a lot of cold water fish using this triple grip hook. Maybe me, my opinion, but I do not use those wide gaps or those triple grips in cold water. I go to a round bend, like such. Any good high quality round bend. I've been using lately some of the Berkeley Fusions, a good Mustad or a good Gamakatsu, but I like the round bend in the cold water for certain. So then crankbait, and along with changing treble hooks, get you a good set of split ring pliers. With the crankbaits, here on the deck we've got them divided out for you to look at. Clean water, clear water, greener water here on the right side, and then darker water, cloudy days, muddier water here on the left. And so there is a time where these red crankbaits, back up to me, there is a time where some of these red crankbaits, even in cleaner water, sometimes there is a season where these red crankbaits are just unbelievable, even in some greener, cleaner water. So some of the crankbaits you'll be familiar with. Wiggle warts, probably caught more fish in cold water on these wiggle warts than anything. Phantom green craw, this is a custom painted green craw one. Other ones, the rock crawler, of course, and then the Curve 55, and then the DT6. The DT6 is different than all of them because it does not have a rattle. And so I throw this when other guys might be throwing a shad wrap. This throws on bait casting, 10-pound line, a long ways. For me, I don't like throwing the 6-pound or 8-pound line in the shad wrap. This works way better for me. I do throw the rock crawler, especially really, really early. Really, when that water is 43, 42, 44 degrees and those fish haven't moved up. I can throw this out there on 10-pound fluorocarbon. I can get it down in that 10, 12 foot range, get a little deeper than I can a wiggle wart. In the dirtier water, I like the old school brown craw. Still throw rock crawler, but I go to that reddish color. Really muddy water, and this one might be an outlier, and I don't even know what this color was called. You can still get it, but it's some sort of brown, but it's orange and chartreuse on the side. I've had some great days with this in dirty water, especially when that dirty water warms up really quick. A March day where you get the 70-degree weather, you go into that really muddy, dirty water, and that thing is amazing. Again, a DT6 in the red, Demon, I think they call that. This is a newer one I've been experimenting with, the Berkeley Fritz side. This is a size 7. We're still learning on this one. And then this is a Spro Little John MD. Goes about 7 to 8, 9 foot deep. We've really been catching fish. It's a little flat-sided crankbait. It's been working really well for us this spring. So those are some of the lures. There's some others. Strike King makes some good lures. Strike King Series 3s. And you can even do the Series 3 XDs. You get the Series 3 XDs in a chili craw red. That can be really good. Crawdad orange brown. That can be really good. And then another one that I am just still experimenting with and haven't gained a lot of confidence, but I've been working on, is this little custom wood large crankbait. in a crawdad color. So those are lures. Those are the lures. Really encourage treble hooks, good trebles, and some split ring pliers, because in that cold, when those fish come up and just barely get that bait, you just want to be able to pull into them, reel into them, and you need good sharp hooks to get a hold of them. A lot of times you're getting them by just a little bit, and you want that hook, if it's one's flopping, to catch them in the side of the face or help you get them hooked a little bit better. But that's what we do. 10 and 12 pound fluorocarbon, good cranking rod, good loose reel, get a Fitzgerald rod. Check Fitzgerald out, fitzgeraldrods.com. Check them out, see what they're about. Get you a good set of crankbaits, and don't be afraid to fish a crankbait in cold water. So the final piece of cold water cranking we want to talk about is locations. Where are we finding the fish that we cold water crank? We have been on Bull Shoals in late February, early March. We've been on Norfolk, and then most recently here in the middle of the month, towards the end of the month, we've been on Lake of the Ozarks. In both situations, we're looking for channel swing banks, typically in the back of a creek, maybe in the back of a cove, and we're looking for some rock transition. So you're looking for that cliffy, deep water edge, steep bank that is moving towards the back and moving from big lava rock and boulder type stuff into chunk rock, eventually moving into some sort of pea gravel. And you want to fish potentially all of it until you figure out the pattern. Early in the year, in February, early March, they tend to be somewhere on that channel swing, somewhere in that deeper water. So you're paralleling that channel rock wall, you're fishing out the front of the boat, and you're bringing that crankbait right down along that edge of that rock wall. In fact, you may hold your rod clear out to the side. If you watch the first video, you'll see us then fishing big rock, moving into transitions. That was the pattern at Lake of the Ozarks, but there were underwater channel swings and different swings either in the cove or along the main lake, and we were catching fish as they were moving up. The big key for us has been rock transitions at Lake of the Ozarks and little points, little subtle points. So you have the big main lake point going up into a cove, but down that bank, as you look at it, you come around the main point and then you'll see another little subtle point, or you'll see it on your topographic map that there's a little underwater flat point, and we'll follow the contour and fish those little subtle secondary type little bitty points. And they can be really subtle, and they can be really small points. But once you start learning where those fish hold, then you can repeat that up and down the lake. We fished almost a 30-mile stretch of Lake of the Ozarks last weekend when I fished with both my boys. When we fished the tournament on Saturday and Sunday, we fished a lot of new water, didn't really recycle any water because we had the pattern, and we just went from spot to spot to spot repeating that pattern. On Bull Shoals and Norfolk, same thing. We kind of went back in the creeks, found the channel swings, and then as the water warms and the fish are moving up and the water's getting into the 50s, we come out of the channel swing, up onto maybe the little bluff end, or at least up to where that water is coming out of the super steep, a little bit flatter, but maybe not quite up on the pea gravel flat. I think some of that pea gravel flat stuff, fish may move up and move back, but they'll consistently get there when the water gets out of the 40s, into the 50s, into that 55-degree range. They start really looking for that pea gravel stuff. So that's my best advice to you. Fish that channel swing, find it moving up onto the flat, and repeat that a few times until you start catching fish consistently to figure out that pattern. And also look for those rock transitions and those little subtle secondary underwater points.